Happy Monday, all you Anthem fans. The week of E3 has ended, but news still is pouring in. I know, they only showed a little bit of the game, but I wanted to clarify some burning questions in the Anthem world. For those new here, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel because the Anthem content is not going to end here. And as we grow, so will the page, so thank you for that. Today we will be focusing in on a recent interview PC Gamer had with Mark Dara and what we have learned. So with BioWare at the helm, we can expect some amazing storytelling. Many fans have been a little distant to this as BioWare's Andromeda did not meet fans' standards, and with Anthem being a completely different game than anything they have ever done, will we be getting that same BioWare charm? It looks like one of Anthem's big issues was finding identity. When Anthem was first being developed, the only game like it was Borderlands, but nothing else really existed in the space. Because of this new subgenre, they have found themselves creating stories that are not only meaningful, but develop an ongoing story. Another big need for the storytelling team was to create water cooler moments where you have something to talk about without spoiling the complete game. They wanted things that could be talked about, argued about, maybe possibly create tension. They want you to engage in conversations with other freelancers, whether it be on message boards or just in everyday life. They want you to talk about this game and the moments that you create within it. How about branching between the action and narration? There is some in-mission narrative that is delivered, but this will not serve as branching dialogue. It's more radio chatter or conversation that everyone shares and sees. Fort Tarsus, or at least one of your hubs, will feature the branching conversations that allow you to form the relationships and friendships with those in your world. When I say relationships, this is the friendship concept. This isn't the whole we get to romance them, as they have described that this is a BioWare game, but it's not going to encourage romance. And if you think about the big picture of the game, they are trying to create this into a multi-structural kind of thing where you keep on getting more story added on, so it doesn't make sense to just put at the beginning chapter a whole bunch of romances, unless that's your sort of thing. So by keeping the branching dialogue in Fort Tarsus, this is designed to remove the social obligation that you feel. Some clarification on this. They do not want you to feel as if you either have to be rushed by teammates to pick an option or pick an option because your team did. These conversations will all be solo choices. To put this into action, they had to make the co-op experience very seamless. But not just seamless in joining, but seamless in breaking apart the team as well. So when you finish a mission, unless you have a pre-made group, they want that connection to dissolve. So you kind of go away and then you can go back and join up again if you want. This not only gives solo players the freedom to join up with friends or matchmaking, but also gives them the freedom to decide if they want to move forward with story, or maybe just fly around, check out the world, and collect some crafting materials. Now, some worry did come from Mark's words when he stated, quote, "I think we're only doing binary branching as opposed to 6 options, just because this is bringing in some different people and that can kind of be an intimidating thing," end quote. Sadly, this means things have been made rather easy for all players to ingest. The choices seem to matter still, but not as in depth as some who love BioWare games are expecting. Also, explained before, these choices will only be made in your home bases. No interactions in the outside world will translate into branching story decisions. I wonder if side missions will be a thing for characters you befriend or help, like some sort of loyalty mission. More on that when I figure things out. Do we have any more news about strongholds? Are they basically like dungeons? Yes and no. They have the same mechanics as a dungeon where you have a team of 4, you're killing things that are more difficult, trying to reach the glorious endgame loot, but you are not simply just going into a cavern. Most of the fights will take place outside in huge open areas where you may go deeper into some caverns to reach the next destination. So yes and no, it is a dungeon. Question I had was just how free is free play? It looks like you'll have a lot of chances to discover the world alone, and free play will be your go-to for just having a good time out on the planet. There's 4 people on the server, but you're not tethered together. Wait, only 4 people? I know this is not a social game, but that seems really low. Won't that Titan live event out there just kick my ass? It looks like world events are balanced above solo. You could solo them, but they will broadcast themselves and try and draw back the other 3 people in your world. It seems BioWare wants free play to be a solo activity in its true nature. They are not discouraging, but at the same time, They are not encouraging you to stay together, but then the world events will draw everyone back together. Your direction is yours and everyone else has their own thing, so you're probably barely even going to see other people. Now, of course, you can mess around in free play as a low level or high level or whatever, but high level is where it's at. In free play, there will be world events, so the Titan is a world event. This is that thing I'm talking about where you'll be going against this thing that looked like it was a DPS beast, and I'm hoping it's not just a giant health bar. I know that this is kind of a gray area because Mark has been touching on it and not at the same time, but this is where you will meet those worldly titans. But also, when you're out and about, you will be finding crafting materials. It is more densely populated in free play than any other mode, so you can take your time and look around. You can get a little bit on missions, but it's really more get your boots on, I'm going to free play if you're looking for some crafting materials. Crafting materials, higher level, these all sound like endgame to me. Is crafting the way to get better loot or doing events and other things better? The balance isn't really clear yet, but you can do both. There are loot drops, and then as you get into max level Elder Game stuff, that's where you're getting the infused shotgun of blah 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 or whatever. It's designed to be a very long loot chase, much more like Diablo than like Destiny. In terms of there's a little bit of randomness in there. You can get the best shotgun and then get the shotgun with the best mod and then get the shotgun with the best stats. It just gives you a lot more to achieve and also a lot more to grind for. I know a couple of friends who asked if I knew what would happen when you died. I thought that was best a time for personal reflection, but then they reminded me about death in the game of Anthem, and I just tried to ignore the whole situation with a nervous smile. Now I can tell them that you can be revived by other squad members and in free play by other people that are on the server. It'll broadcast the fact that you're down and maybe someone will come, maybe they won't. If that doesn't happen in a certain period of time, you will respawn at a supply point, which is basically a cache of gear out in the world. If you're near the end of a mission and two of you go down, other people can bring you back up. Or if you're never going to be able to revive me, just send me back to a resupply point, you can do that. But if all of you go down, you go back to the resupply point as a team. One big thing that is still up in the air is boss's health after a 4-person wipe. Right now, it stays in the same state it was when you went down, but this is something that is still being decided on and may change on release. We also got a little bit more information about weapons. It looks like basic weapon architectures are in the game, such as pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, grenade launchers, and miniguns. Those kind of overlap the different suits, so the lighter suits can use pistols, but then if you're a Colossus, you can't use a pistol. But while everyone else is having fun with their pistols, you can whip out a giant minigun because they can't use that. When I first read this, I thought of a T-Rex holding a pistol for some reason and giggled to myself. I know, I don't know where my brain goes, but let's just continue. Each javelin has different gear slots that are unique to that javelin. So you saw that the Ranger has a wrist slot that is like a wrist rocket. And then for that, you can get different types of rockets, like those that just do pure damage and those that can set things on fire and etc. It's kind of up to whatever choices you make. As for special weapons or more creative weapons, he explained an aura type weapon that will provide other abilities other than pure combat in the world. The Storm is much more elementally driven. They have a gun, but they're not using that. They're often shooting ice bolts and other things like that. They're a bit more mystical in nature. Sadly, Mark had stated that trading and PvP are not currently slated for launch. For trading, it seems as if they are trying to figure out a way to allow players to share something, such as a group color or a certain design, but at this time they are not looking into loot trading. PvP seems to be off the menu, but only because BioWare is trying to create a world where you can actually become a superhero. Due to balancing issues, sticking a bunch of OP javelins in a match may sound fun at first, but quickly becomes a meta-filled cluster that no one likes. What about the future? It seems as if some thoughts are being thrown around, such as PvP mode that have to be structured in a way that loot balance wasn't a problem, or a separate mode that you took a different javelin, like say a special javelin just for PvP, and it has its own much more restricted loot tables. Finally, he touches on endgame content and live update plans for the game. It seems like live update is still up in the air as they want seasons, but will have live events. He did not want to go into detail regarding the live update plan, partially just because he wants to be able to adapt and change it as we get into the last stretch of the game's release. Maybe us as a player will help guide this to glory? Who knows? but this is something I am definitely going to be keeping an eye on. A big thing that BioWare has been talking about is how endgame, known as Elder Game, will be something that keeps you coming back for more. The progression should keep you running. There's something called the Pact of Glory, and every week you have certain goals to achieve. If you achieve them, you get additional rewards of in-game currency to use. And then the other thing is that because this is an unfinished world, it allows for the team to change the world, keeping players guessing each week as something that was once familiar has now changed. This small detail keeps players on their toes as more adventure awaits. Mark did touch on this a little, throwing out a basic concept. One week you find and use a flamethrower and love this gun, but the game shifts and enemies that would once burn at your whim now are resilient to your gun because they are fire monsters. This will cause you to adapt, find a bigger, better weapon for the job, as well as shift the meta over time. Well, that is all I got today. I sure hope this cleared up some questions you may have had about Anthem, or hopefully left you a little less confused than you were before this. I now have a release schedule for videos, which will be Monday and Friday for now. Those will be the dedicated days I get content out. If we were to get more information, or I have a slower week at work, or just feel more creative, I may sneak in a new video in the release plan. Just make sure you check out my Twitter @BeardedDino. If you did enjoy the video today and want me to keep on creating awesome Anthem content, hit the like button and subscribe. As always, if you have any questions or want me to try and find an answer for an Anthem related thing, leave a comment below. Thank you so much for all the love and subscribers from the last video. You all are truly amazing. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.